Our guest is Colonel Cedric Leighton, and he's from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Deputy Director for Warfighting Support Integration, and he is live with us from Washington. Sir, what do you make of today's developments?
Well, Shep, I think that, as far as the developments in Jordan are concerned, we're clearly entering a new phase. We're looking at a very different war potentially developing between the Arab coalition partners on the one hand and ISIS on the other. So I think it's a game-changing moment just because of the brutal execution and immolation of Lieutenant Kazaspe. And as far as the Ashton Carter nomination hearings are concerned, I think we saw the beginnings of a realization that the world is a very difficult, dangerous place, and it's going to be very hard for the new Secretary of Defense, even an able one like Dr. Carter, to actually handle this. And it's going to be a very different dynamic now.
Colonel, one of the concerns expressed by some of our Middle East allies has been that there seems to be a consolidation in the West Wing of making decisions about these matters. There's been frustration expressed by the outgoing Secretary of Defense. There's talk about that today. How does that play into the larger goal and problem here?
Well, I think it plays in the following way, Shep, because the Pentagon naturally wants to control military operations and make sure that it has everything in a basic box that they can understand and deal with. That then rubs against the political imperative that you have on the White House side of things. The White House, the National Security Team, has a reputation for getting involved in the minutia of military activities. Sometimes they have to do it because of, certain political things that are happening and because the president has given them certain direction. But the problem that you run into is that you have people who, the allegation is, don't have as much experience on the military side working military issues, and that frustrates and really hurts the efforts of the Pentagon. And that's one of the big concerns that not only the Pentagon rank and file have, but they also permeate up to the upper levels of the defense establishment.
Yeah. Truth be told, that's been a complaint and a problem, if you will, from the Pentagon standpoint for many years, but it's certainly part of our democracy. That's how that balance of power and balance of decision plays itself out. More importantly, at the moment, at least to the Jordanians, it seems, they're complaining about a lack of supplies. And if the Jordanians were to move forward with the next step, would the United States send the supplies in for them? It seems to be, in your words, the elephant in the room.
It is the elephant in the room, Shep, and the key thing here is that the United States, if they want willing coalition partners, they also need to establish the structures that help those coalition partners. If you can't get the spare parts, if you can't get the intelligence, if you can't get the kind of support that coalition partners need to them so they can be effective partners, you risk damaging those coalitions. And I think we saw part of that with the way the United Arab Emirates reacted to the downing of Lieutenant Kazaspe before he was executed. And then you also see their reluctance to fly in those operations, and part of the excuse at least was that the search and rescue component of the U.S. wasn't there to help them. So that's part of the problem. The other part, of course, is munitions support, intelligence support. Those are all critical things, and they have to be in place in order for us to have effective coalitions, because no one can do those kinds of things like the U.S., and our coalition partners know that.
Colonel Cedric Leighton live with us in Washington. Sir, it's very good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
You bet, Shep, anytime.